Freckles, I got so many answers to that question, I wouldn't even know where to start.
Hello Lost fans, I'm Seanie B, and today we're going to analyze everything that happened in the 9th episode of Season 6 called Aeterno. And first off, just what an episode. I kind of feel a little bit bad for those impatient people who stopped watching because they couldn't get their instant answers, instant rice, instant pudding, you know, those type of people, because they're going to miss out on some pretty good upcoming episodes, including this last one. And like I said, the title of this episode was called Aeterno, which in Latin means from eternity, but it's more often used in phrases to mean for long ages or since the beginning, or Aeterno just means eternal abs of Richard, as the producers joked about. The main place where Aeterno pops up is actually from the Bible in Proverbs 8:23, which contains two of the numbers, and it says, Ab Aeterno, or dita sum et ex antiques antiquam terra firet, which I probably just murdered right there, but it translates to, I have been established from everlasting, from the beginning, before there was even an earth. Okay then, let's get to the Fast Reflex Awards.
And boom goes the dynamite.
Great job to the 15 of you guys down here that won. Good job and keep it up. You guys won a year's supply of, well, nothing really, just satisfaction, I guess. And unlike my other recaps for Season 6, this recap's going to be a little bit different since the episode was a little bit different. I'm not going to be breaking it up into sections like Flash Sideways first, and then what happened on the island second. It's just going to go chronologically as the episode happened. So let's get it started. So we start off with Jacob visiting Alana, like we saw last season, telling her that she needs to protect 6 people and that their names will be on his list. Jacob also tells her that once they leave the temple on the island, Ricardus will know what to do. We then shift over to the island with Alana and crew huddled around a campfire, as Alana tells the group that Jack, Hurley, and Sun are candidates to replace Jacob. Frank asks what they should do now, and Alana says that she doesn't know, but that Richard does, who's standing nearby. He looks confused like, who, me? And then laughs like the Joker. He says that he has no idea what to do next, that he was trying to kill himself a couple episodes ago because everything that Jacob had told him was a lie. Richard also reveals that he has a secret that he's known for a long time. All of them are literally dead, and the island is hell. As we'll see later on in this episode, the man in black tells Richard that the island's hell, and Jacob tells him that the island's not hell. So when he says that Jacob, everything that he's told him is a lie, he figures that the island not being hell is also a lie, but I'll talk more about this later. We also get another answer to this episode. Ben says that he met Richard when he was 12 years old after he was shot, so this means that when he was resurrected in the Temple Spring, it erased Ben's memory of when he and Richard met in the jungle years before that. Richard then says that it's time to listen to someone else, and goes off into the jungle. At this point, we flash back to the Canary Islands in 1867, where Ricardo rides his horse to his home in Socorro, and goes inside. Socorro actually means help in Spanish, and it's also on the island of Tenerife, as we saw at the beginning, which is home to the most devastating airport crash in human history. The year it takes place, 1977. His wife Isabella is really sick in bed, and Richard wants to get a doctor, but they won't have enough money, so she gives him her golden cross necklace, and Richard promises to save her as he rides off through the pouring rain to the doctor's house. He goes inside soaking wet and begs the doctor for help, but the doctor looks like he could care less and doesn't want to ride out into the rain. Apparently, the pretty boy doesn't want to get wet. Richard keeps on begging, so the doctor offers medicine for a steep price just to get him off his back. Richard then gives him the money and reluctantly gives him the cross. The doctor throws it on the ground though, saying it's worthless. This sparks the inner Hulk in Richard as he grabs the doctor and accidentally throws him down, killing him when his weak head hits the table. We see the butler, who earlier was ordered by the doctor to get blankets for the wet floor, and he comes back carrying the blankets. This is almost exactly similar to Libby back in the hatch, as she entered carrying blankets after Michael killed Ana Lucia. Richard grabs the medicine and races home, but finds Isabella dead. He sobs as an armed force bursts into the room, taking him prisoner. We then see Ricardo in jail, who's reading an English Bible, trying to teach himself English, since he and Isabella dreamed of moving to the New World together. The verse that's shown here is actually Luke chapter 4, which is about Jesus being tempted by the devil, and the devil being unsuccessful. Maybe we'll see something about this later. Father Suarez comes in and receives Richard's confession that he killed the doctor, even though it was an accident. The priest denies him absolution, saying that murder is a sin that can't be forgiven. He also said that it's only made up for by a life of penance, and since he's going to be executed the next day, basically he's screwed and is going to hell. But the next day, Richard's taken to a man named Jonas Whitfield, who's an officer of a ship. He asks if Richard knows English, and eventually Richard says yeah. Whitfield then pays the priest and claims that Richard's now the property of Magnus Hanso. We've known for a while now, though, that Magnus Hanso was on the Black Rock. On the blast door map, there's a notation that reads, "Known final resting place of Magnus Hanso / Black Rock." So the two have been tied together since season 2. It makes you wonder why Magnus Hanso didn't get African slaves, who at that time would have been much cheaper. It seems that he needed people with some education who had nothing to go back to, or maybe this was his version of getting certain people together to be able to go to the island. We then go to the Black Rock during a super intense storm, where Ricardo and the other slaves are chained underneath in the hull of the ship. If you've been watching my recaps for a while, then we kind of already knew that Richard was going to be a slave on the Black Rock. It was kind of foreshadowed last season when Richard was building that Black Rock model ship inside the bottle. And then also earlier this season when the Man in Black as Flock said, "It's good to see you out of those chains," as he said this episode. Also, Richard's age played a factor in it too. One of the slaves named Ignacio looks through one of the cracks in the ship and says that he sees land. But then he sees the Taoret statue and yells that he sees the devil. He also claims that the devil protects the land. Then there's a huge tidal wave that throws the ship against the statue, and as we'll see later, it causes the statue to just become the four-toed foot, as we first saw in season 2. Dr. Arce also predicted this too back in season 1, remember when they first visit the Black Rock. He says that the ship was probably swept inland by a giant wave. And it's kind of weird too, I know you guys were all wondering this also, how a wooden ship could destroy a stone statue where the wooden ship remains almost perfectly intact. I think it was the force of the wave though, the main culprit that broke the stone statue. I think this wave could either have been caused by the Man in Black or Jacob. As we saw a few episodes ago, the Man in Black telekinetically unlocked Ben's chain by just pointing at it, so maybe he could influence the direction of the wave as well. Plus there's some black and white symbolism here with the black coming out victorious. The Black Rock destroys the white statue. Now the question here is this ship the same one that we saw the Man in Black and Jacob looking at in the incident episode last season? Obviously it was bright and sunny the first time and dark and stormy the second time, so naturally I thought it was a different ship. But in the official podcast this past week, the producers implied that it was the same ship. They say that right after the sunny sky, a storm is conjured up, and that we'll be seeing a lot more storms created on the island.